Have you ever been playing a game and had an item drop that when you observed it, you just had to let out a, "What were they thinking?" Hello and welcome. I am Zerbaxi. Today we're going to be going over some of the questionable items in the Burning Crusade. Now, understand that these might be items that are very good, items that might just be odd, or items that outright suck. Now, before we get going, I want to give a huge shout out to Dr. Cannonball for recommending this video idea. Thank you. I hope you enjoy, and I hope I do this right by you. Without further ado, let's go. During the age of vanilla WoW, the itemization was all over the place. While this created a certain level of charm on some items, it also just made loads of them completely useless. Lion Horn of Stormwind was... what even is this? Come Outland though, Blizzard had started to learn their lesson, and while there exist some quirky items, they all tend to serve some practical purpose. Sometimes too well, actually. Introducing the Beast Lord armor, the dungeon set 3 for hunters that has a couple aspects I need to point out. First, why does it look so ugly? It's insultingly boring. Second, what was Blizzard thinking with this 4-piece set bonus? I know myself and many others have already commented on just how good the 4-piece Beast Lord bonus is, but for real, why? I know a fun quirk of earlier times in WoW is how an unsuspecting item can be really powerful if you know the game well, but this armor set from endgame PvE legitimately just invalidates the next entire tier from endgame PvE for hunters. There are people who argue that tier 4 is only slightly worse, but well, it's still a full set of armor. It's not like it's one item here, but a full 4 pieces are locked for a solid tier of rating. Having a full armor set locked away is just... it's a bit strange to me. I mean, one item I can get behind, kind of like the next items on this list. I think it might genuinely be impossible to make a list about items in World of Warcraft and somehow not reference the Wolfshead helm or the Scarab Brooch. These items are talked about to death, so I'll try not to bore you too much here. Just a little bored. I'm gonna keep you a little bored. The Wolfshead helm having an effect that directly ties to Feral Druid's resource bar is a recipe for some really powerful scaling. If you're a Feral Druid, you probably already know about this helm, but if you don't, well, it's possibly your best in slot until Cataclysm. There's an argument to this, but it's very powerful nonetheless. The Scarab Brooch is also just really weird because every other percentage-based item from vanilla was nerfed in TBC to either change value entirely or to have a reduced effect on characters above level 60. Except this one. The percentage-based value on a shield essentially makes this item work very well in every expansion ever. Well, until it finally does get nerfed in Cataclysm. While it's not entirely best in slot for every healer in every situation, it was famously used on the heroic Lich King kill a full 2 expansions after its release into the game. I always wonder how this item wasn't nerfed in TBC. I genuinely have no idea what they were thinking. Professions are insanely powerful in the Burning Crusade, and in fact, crafting is probably at its strongest come Outland. Of all of those items that you can make, none are probably more infamous than the drums. However, today, we're not talking about the drums that you know them as they are now. No, we're talking about the original drums. The ones that suck. Yes, the leatherworking drums at the launch of TBC were actually pretty bad. With a radius of only 8 yards and a short cast time, they were argued to be unusable. Players everywhere wondered how in the world Blizzard thought that these original drums would ever be viable, and well, Blizzard heard those cries. Come patch 2.3, the drums would be buffed to now have a 40-yard radius, and now enter the drum meta. Let me be clear about something. While the drum rotation was seen as a cool mechanic around teamwork, and I share that view. However, almost everyone I have ever spoken to who raided in TBC absolutely hated the necessity to drop their professions in order to roll leatherworking. This mechanic is fondly remembered, but the drums as a whole, they're not, and we can see this with the outcry against the drums in the Burning Crusade Classic. But what about those original drums am I trying to talk about today, though? Well, an 8-yard radius back in the day during progress made these items basically useless. An 8-yard radius today would still make leatherworking mostly mandatory for raiding guilds. The only change would be that now groups would be expected to stack for drum reuse. This would be such an odd experience, and one that would only add layers of frustration. No, the drums almost definitely won't be necessary to clear the content. Yes, guilds will still ask for people to have them. Yes, players will complain about needing to use them while feeling compelled to keep the drums in their bags because they do know in the back of their mind it's a DPS increase. Drums are a perfect example of a system that is mostly flawed on a design level because of a single principle. Any game system that actively enforces players to engage in behavior that is against their own welfare for a non-essential increase through nothing but compulsory pressure is a system that should be scrapped or redesigned. Welcome to the Burning Crusade's world buff meta. I hope you're ready. On a lighter note, let's talk about the Eye of Magtheridon. It's just kind of always been weird to me. On the surface, this item is fine, and in practice, it's actually completely worthwhile. It's not the power or usefulness I'm questioning here. I just never quite understood why this proc is based off resisting spells. More so, I've always wondered why this trinket wasn't offered from heroics. Instead, it's offered at the end of tier 4 rating. I ask this because by the end of tier 4, your hit rating is, well, it's starting to get mostly settled. In fact, a lot of classes are gonna be hit capped just fine by the time you slay Magtheridon. So then why have this trinket's proc effect effectively be reduced by better gear? A slightly less powerful version of this trinket would be perfect from a heroic boss while casters are still having really low hit, and thus resists would be way more common. I mean, it's fine, honestly, it's just, why Magtheridon? Why not earlier? Why not be like the Dragonspine Trophy? That trinket is perfectly placed and is only as powerful as the items around it. This is sarcasm, by the way. DST is completely busted. The Dragonspine Trophy off of Gruul is one of the items you better get used to going back to and grinding for the entire expansion, basically. Are you a physical DPS who laughs at all those casters that would have to go back into Molten Core to get that talisman of ephemeral power? Well, you might want to stop laughing because come TBC, you're gonna be in that same boat. Yes, Dragonspine Trophy is insanely powerful, and it's always made me wonder what Blizzard was thinking when having a trinket with attack power and a 20% haste proc drop from tier 4. Well, I mean, at least it's not as frustrating as Deep Thunder and Stormherald, though. I hate stun effects like this. I have to be honest here. I've always had this mindset that a gameplay mechanic that removes agency from the player with no counterplay is just unnecessary and only causes frustration. If you're a warrior, though, you get to be the literal god of ensuring that other players don't have the ability to play the video game. Deep Thunder and Stormherald have 4-second stun effects. 4 seconds! Do you realize how long that actually is? Imagine watching a YouTube video and just having it go black for 4 seconds. Yeah, that's kind of annoying, huh? I wouldn't be surprised if I actually go back to my analytics and see a large drop off of viewership during that example because of just how long 4 seconds really is. When you combine that with Mace specialization for warriors, which has yet another chance to proc a 3-second stun, it's just, I just don't know what they were thinking. Do any of you who played TBC remember the trinket, the figurine living ruby serpent, or the crimson serpent? Yeah. Me neither. If you did remember it, honestly, then good on you. You should probably make YouTube videos. You have a better memory than me. This trinket is also just so bad alongside being forgettable. All of the other figurines are at least kind of okay, and some are actually really good. But the caster DPS trinket is beaten out by normal dungeon trinkets. Even the Crimson Serpent, which requires epic gems, is still garbage. With how powerful crafted gear is come TBC, I have no clue what this trinket line was doing. Some of you might not know this, but the original gear from Karazhan was really bad. Like, worse than most heroic pieces bad. What was Blizzard thinking making the loot from the first raid this lackluster? The only argument I've ever heard defending how abysmal the Karazhan loot was at launch is that Blizzard wanted the new heroic system to serve as an endgame alongside Karazhan. Well, this would work in terms of gear power, sure. However, when you consider that Kara is a weekly lockout and heroics are a daily lockout with better loot, then, well, you get the exact same problem that Mythic Plus has had for years in Modern WoW, where raid gear felt like a waste of your time and energy. I don't think that's a good way to handle gear progression. And the last item that we're going to talk about today is one that, honestly, we shouldn't have to discuss. In the history of WoW's legendary items, there has never been one quite like Thor'idal, the Star's Fury. The most interesting thing about Thor'idal is, well, it's a debate on if it's even best in slot or not. Considering this legendary comes from the last boss of the last tier of the entire expansion, Thor'idal should be unequivocally the best hunter weapon in the game. Instead, it's still a discussion players are having about if it's actually good or not. Some argue that this bow is worse than that of the black bow of the Betrayer and the golden bow of Cothalas, while others argue that it's better than those options, but still by only a few DPS. Without question, this is the worst legendary Blizzard has ever made in terms of power, and the fact that there's even a debate on whether or not it's worth equipping is enough for me to ask, what was Blizzard thinking? Oh, and you probably already know this, but just in case you don't, down below there's a thumbs up and a subscribe button. If you press those, you get to see more videos from me. That wasn't condescending. Oh, and there's also a thumbs down button down there if you want to hit that, but at this rate, YouTube might just be getting rid of it at some point, so hit it while you can. That'd be awesome. Also, if you want to, please follow me on Twitch and Twitter. The descriptions are down below, and the names should show up here on the video. It's where I talk about all things WoW, classic WoW, video games, whatever. And also, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone who's been on the stream. Thank you. It's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun, and it's made me go from I kind of want to stream to I genuinely want to wrap up some of these videos to also be able to go stream, to then make videos and then go stream, and it's just kind of gotten crazy. So thank you all for all the fun. I really do appreciate it. Thank you again, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye! When people actually show up. Oh, this is a bad time to drink. It's a really bad time to drink. Oh, he's actually going away? Oh, he's actually going away like a sucker. What a chump. Yeah, stay right there. I need to get some mana back. Can you stay right there? That'd be great. Thank you.